Hello, this is Rebus the Rogue. Welcome to DDOcast. Yeah, DDOcast is about Dungeons & Dragons Online. We do live shows most Sunday afternoons around 4 p.m. Pacific time. You can listen live or hang out on a chat room on G+ Hangouts or from the website at DDOcast.com/live, which sadly at the moment is not so live. We have suffered something of a mishap with the website. It is not available at the moment, but it will be back, maybe by the time you hear this recorded show. You can watch the recorded shows on YouTube or listen to them on iTunes. We post showtimes, updates, and game news on Facebook, Twitter, or G+ as DDOcast, and you can always find out more at DDOcast.com. Want to be a part of the show or just say hi? Then you can leave us a voicemail at the toll-free YARK line 1-855-DDO-YARK or send us an email at DDOcast@gmail.com. We're always looking for guests, show segments, and topics of interest. So on the podcast this week, we have the usual assortment of game news, talk about DDO gamer action, got some community news, some general gaming news, and all that good stuff. So we'll start out with game news for the week. Not a whole lot of that, but some. Maybe there's some server instability going around. Thalanis, Glanda, and Sarlona have all had crashes this week. For the most part, Turbine has gotten them back up on their feet very quickly after each of these, so that's good. Doesn't seem to be an endemic problem, not affecting a lot of gameplay, but does seem to be quite a few of them going down as of late. The Dryad's Grove Challenge has been closed. Dryad Grove Defenseless and Dryad Grove The Great Tree Challenge are temporarily unavailable. No word on when they will be reopened, and no word on why they were closed, whether it was a bug or an exploit or something of that nature. I saw some speculation that had something to do with bards fascinating things and being able to do the quest very easily. I don't know, though. I have no idea exactly what was going on in there. Rumor control. Apparently there are many rumors that you will not be able to buy True Hearts of Wood with Epic tokens in the future. The developers have emphatically rejected this rumor. What has happened apparently is that Epic tokens are being renamed to Tokens of the 12, and that confused people a bit. So I guess they're just giving them a more in-game flavor name rather than Epic, since it's sort of anachronistic for characters to walk around. Hey, did you get any Epic tokens? Oh yeah, they're very epic. So they're going to be called Tokens of the 12. Very magical, very mysterious things. DDO store news. Memphic creature companions are now available. These are relatively new. There are 3 different types, as is the usual case. They look pretty cute. I haven't bought any of those yet. 20% off of stat tomes, tomes of learning, XP, and renown elixirs. Also, a free bracelet of friends is available to you. BOF010, and the Bracelet of Friends is actually a pretty handy little item, so if you don't have one of those, you might want to grab one. Anybody in your party, you can kind of teleport them to your location. Doesn't work inside of quests, but it's real good for gathering up for raids or for people who are like, I don't know where that quest is, and you can just kind of haul them on over. Also very cool if you want to take low-level characters through Giant Hold for no good reason. We did that for one of the tournaments we were doing to get the plus 10 hit point favor on some low-level characters for a tournament thing. So anyway, Bracelet of Friends, pretty handy. Get one for free. Let's see, that's it for game news this week. It's kind of low and slow for the most part. But fortunately, DDO Gamer has been busy, so we've got stuff to talk about over there. Yay, Jeff.
Thank you, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank God for Jeff.
Otherwise, we wouldn't have all that much to
You
talk
have saved
about.
producer Ann from doing too much work.
I've got to make a rotating loop of those words you just said. Thank God for Jeff, because nobody will believe that was ever said. I'm going to make a ringtone, and my phone is going to go, thank God for Jeff.
An alternate dimension.
Yeah, it was a busy week on DDO Gamer. We started out by finishing off the Dragon Decks series from the previous week, and we went into detail, and by we I mean me, about spectral dragons, which, as it turns out, might not really actually be dragons at all. Comic Relief, who's a regular reader and commenter, pointed out that at least Eternity, the spectral dragon that occurs during the Maybar Festival, at least that spectral dragon is got an undead template rather than a dragon template. So, sure enough, I went and checked in the challenge, the House C challenge. In fact, I did that this afternoon, and Araxalon, the spectral dragon there, is also undead rather than of type dragon. So I didn't happen to have a Dragon Bane and an Undead Bane weapon with me, so I couldn't hit him with one of each and see what happened. But I don't know, maybe not a dragon at all.
Oh, so we know he's undead, but we're not sure if he's not a dragon or not.
He would almost have to be.
I would think so.
Right?
But, yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. So he took a lot of damage from Firewall. He acted very much like an undead. So there you have it.
What's his type in say Canon 3.5 D&D? If there was a spectral dragon,
I would think that would. I don't know. I would
Probably
assume that would be type dragon and undead. Yes.
Yeah.
Right. You can have multiple templates. So, anyway, there's that.
Cool.
They look cool. I mean, I like them. I think they're really blue dragon, models. And I don't think there's much doubt. I mean, they're resistant to electricity and they spit lightning bolts and they look like blue dragons, with the big nose. But anyway, there's that. So also in DDO Gamer, I talked about some of my favorite forum threads, two in particular. The forums are kind of a scary place for a lot of people, and I understand why. They're kind of scary for me sometimes. But if you put on your hip waders or perhaps some days the full body condom, and are careful what you look at, you can find some useful information and things that are helpful and fun. So two of my favorite threads, one of them is from the Hall of Fame, and it's called DDO Album Covers. And in that one, a forumite named Sebastian O. Smith just had the idea of making album covers based on DDO themes. And they look really cool, and the best part about it is that people have been contributing to add their own art to it. So it got moved to the Hall of Fame fairly quickly, but it's still going. There's still new album covers within the last couple of weeks. And, some are good. There's always, unevenness, but some of them are really good. I mean, it's really, really quite artistic, some of them. The other one I wanted to talk about is, I really like this one, but I made it. It's called the Motivational Thread, and it's in the general discussion, and it's where I just put all my motivational posters. But because I'm clever, it's MMO motivational, mode. Yes, because I'm clever like that.
That's very clever.
I thought you'd like that, yes. So, of course I like it because I started it, but the reason I'm talking about it now is because this, too, became something that other people have contributed art to. In fact, there are more motivational posters in there from other people than there are from me. And, again, some of them are really quite funny. I mean, I think probably the funniest ones in the thread aren't mine, as shameful as it is for me to admit that. I think that's possibly true. So, anyway, if you have time, go check them out. In the Hall of Fame, it's DDO album covers. And in general discussion, you can just sort by views. It'll be near the top, and it's motivational or motivational.
So I have a couple questions about those.
Sure.
Yeah, first of all, for the motivation, do you use like one of those websites that does the motivation posters? You lay them out yourself?
No, I just do it I use the GIMP, and I have a template that I've used 75 times now. So
right, yeah.
Pretty automatic.
Okay. Yeah. And on the other one, what's an album, Jeff?
What's an album? Oh my God, you're right. I should have explained that, shouldn't I?
Well, there's actually probably a few people that don't know about albums.
Back in the day, they had these big, round, black discs they called records, and they put them in special protective covers they called album covers. Back way in the day, when some of your parents were still young.
It's not quite the same on CD because the pictures are much smaller, so that
Yeah.
I mean, an old album.
It's the same aspect, right?
Yeah, same square shape, but I don't know. I used to love my dad's album covers. I would play with those all the time. And I even like the Boston one with the big spaceship. I actually use that as a spaceship, and I'd fly it around. These were good times.
Well, and now it's like iTunes icons, right? And when you're in iTunes, it's so hard to see what they look like, right?
Now it's even smaller, right? So,
yeah, the availability of that sort of art form. I mean, it's got its own particular style too, right? I mean, there's something, album covers are often have an iconic quality to them. They're trying to have a single striking image.
Oh, it does, and a lot of artists made their name doing this. A guy named Roger Dean. well, Peter Max was famous for things other than albums, but also for albums. I mean, yeah, it was quite the art form, and and it still is on DDO forums if you're willing to go find it.
Yeah.
Actually, my favorite, I love that thread, but my favorite album of all time is from Monty Python when they made their own album cover, and really they took another album from another, record, crossed out the original name and handwritten their own and actually submit it to the publisher as their own album cover.
Those wacky Brits. Huh? What are you going to say? Well, let's see. So what else? Other things going on in DDO Gamer this week did a preview on the adventure area, Epic Giant Hold, Ruins of Giant Hold. And we can talk about that, but this is a bit spoilery, not a lot, but a little bit. So if you're one of those kind that really doesn't want to know anything about new content, stop listening for a minute, and we'll give you a visual high sign when it's safe again. All right? Is that how we normally do spoilers here? How do we normally?
I don't know. It's kind of rare. We usually just don't go into great detail about things for quests, but I think adventure areas are okay. You just wander around those, and so
yes,
I think it's fine.
Right. So. Okay, so for this one, it's the same as it was. I mean, in most cases, it's really the same as it was. Sometimes you'll be going down a very familiar path, and you'll expect to see a gnoll, and okay, well, instead there's a giant with really a lot of hit points. Okay, and where his friend, the other gnoll, was, instead there's another giant with really a lot of hit points. But other than that, it tends to be pretty much the same as it was. Fun. I like killing giants, especially with my halflings. I think that's as good as the game gets, is taking my tiny little characters and taking on these humongous creatures and, spreading them out. I like that. Now there are some differences. So instead of explorer points, you instead try to find these little monuments that have sayings from two of the key characters in the new release, one of whom is the Storm Reaver, right? That's not really much of a spoiler. So you find these sayings instead of finding explorer points. There are still rare encounters. They're different. And then for slayers, instead of having the Storm Fist Horde and the Storm Eye Horde, and I forget what the other horde is. Storm Fist.
Storm Eye, Stormheart.
Thank you. Instead of having those three hordes, which basically map to areas in the map, right? Mm-hmm. In this case now you get giants and dragons and other races. So you still have 3 Slayer counts, but they work differently. And I got to tell you, when I saw that, I was dismayed. I didn't want dragons to be a Slayer count. I don't think that's how dragons ought to work. I think dragons ought to be big, fierce, named, unique, big, scary fights that you plan for. And maybe you win, maybe you don't. I don't want to go wade into a whole herd of dragons and rack them up by 100. I don't want to do that.
Please kill 5 dragons. Bring me their tails. Yeah.
I was so dismayed. So, all right, but okay, we'll give it a chance. So I, grabbed my dual dwarven axes and a pocket healer, and off I went, and I ran over every area. And thank God I found no herds of dragons, not any. No flocks of dragons anywhere. What did happen is I triggered a rare encounter, and it's the new style of rare encounter, where you get a yellow dot on your map and text that says, this encounter has started. Right, like in the King's Forest, you know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I ran to the
encounters.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think all of the rares are like that, because I also ran into red names that I had never seen before. But at least some of them are. And in this case, I ran to the encounter. There was a familiar couple of people there that needed protecting. I've got a chuckle out of it. I'll save that for you to figure out yourself. Mm-hmm. But they were needed protecting from a dragon. Aha! See? So, and then they got attacked, and sure enough, it was, a big-ass dragon, like it's supposed to be, with red named, and it's got a unique name, and it's, big and bad and full of hit points, the way a dragon ought to be. So, fought him, and I noticed my Slayer count paid off experience points on the first dragon.
Oh.
And it was reset. It's going to pay off again on the second dragon.
Cool.
So, okay.
Very nice.
So there you go. So you got giants, which you got to rack up by the dozens like any other Slayer count. You have other races, same deal. I mean, that's what orcs and hobgoblins are for, right, is killing by the hundreds. And dragons, which are apparently only rares, and you get them one at a time.
That's pretty cool.
I feel a lot better about that.
Yeah, that's a nice touch.
All right.
Do any of the giants look different, or are they pretty much the same?
I did not detect any new models, although I did. The giant or the dragon had a different visual detail. Now, maybe I just imagined it, but I don't think so. And I tried to get a screenshot. It was hard to tell, but it looked to me like the dragon itself is different from the other white dragons.
Interesting.
So, well, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd like that.
Are the explorer areas voiced? Are the little pickups?
I didn't notice. It might have
okay.
been. I might have been. Do voices? There was a couple of places where a voice came out where actually I thought it was the wrong voice. I think there's still.
That's often the last thing they put in. So
yeah.
That
it was like it was giving me some piece of plot that wasn't. I mean, when I was running by trial by fire, right? And instead of giving me you found the quest announcement or whatever it was, I got some voiceover that didn't seem to be relevant to what I was doing. So I just think that's not there yet.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But otherwise, I enjoyed it. It was a good time. Like I say, I really like killing lots of giants. Now, the other thing to talk about, if you guys aren't bored of me yet, may I keep going for one more?
Oh, yeah, no, go ahead.
Go for it.
Wow, it must be a dead news week.
I don't know. It's what I do on the show every week. So
the last thing I wanted to talk about, we talked about last week, which was the details on the new Epic Dragon Scale armors.
Oh, yeah.
So I posted about that, and I got some feedback, and I love feedback. So this feedback started with, "It is good to see someone excited about DDO." And I thought, okay. See, anytime, have you ever had to give like employee reviews or anything like that? They teach constructive criticism, always find something good to say first.
Right.
And when the only thing somebody can find good to say is you're very excited, it's not going to be good.
We appreciate your enthusiasm, Doug. But
really good effort. Okay, but please try to constrain yourself and accurately portray the information. Okay. Oh,
burn.
Yeah, I guess so. Anyway, this is from a poster named Thor, and actually, he's really trying to make the point, because I was kind of slamming the Black Dragon scale because it seemed to me like an incremental improvement from the existing heroic Black Dragon scale, which nobody wears.
Yeah.
So. Now, since I made that post, Feather of Sun came out and posted that he was going to boost up the armors. So instead of being +7, they're +8.
Oh,
and
nice.
Yes, and each armor had one facet that was kicked up a notch also. So on the white armor, I think it's the shield bonus is also going to be +8, and on the blue armor, it's going to be greater spell pen 9. Which is actually really good, I think. I'm pretty excited about.
Yeah.
And on the black, it's going to be armor piercing is going to go from 10 to 20. And that is the thing that Thor was very excited about, and then he thought I was improperly respecting or failing to contain my excitement. I'm not sure which. But so he went into an actually long and helpful and useful diatribe about the importance of getting crits on bosses and how much fortification various bosses have, and he posted the whole list. So, and I think he got this from somewhere, DDO Wiki or something, but if you want to find, how much fortification every boss in the game has, okay, well, there it is, and I'll probably post it in its own post just so it's easier to find. I thought that was an extremely helpful piece of information. I always welcome comments, and I think it's really nice when somebody, has a comment, but they bring the knowledge along with it.
Oh, yeah.
So, So there, that's DDO Gamer for the week.
Yeah, the fortification. I mean, some characters, especially rogues, say get a lot of their damage out of critical hits, and a lot of people design their characters for that. And many or most bosses in Epic Elite have high levels of fortification, so it could definitely be handy, especially since one character. Well, I'm not sure. Do you know how on the Black Dragon scale is this going to break down their fortification to everybody or just for the character who has it? Do you remember the description?
Oh, well, armor piercing is just for. It's on
just for the character that has it.
Yeah,
oh, okay.
There's armor piercing on Black Dragon armor now. It's only 10%.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Right. So for the opponent, now you're hitting. He's got 80% fortification or 40% or whatever he had. It doesn't affect anybody else though.
Oh, okay. Yeah. wasn't there. Yeah, I seem to remember there was some ability that did that to some extent, or maybe I'm just thinking about armor class back in the day when that kind of made a difference. But
actually, you know that you are. Don't rogues do something about that?
Yeah, I think there is something where they can debuff the fortification on the critter, and that can be a big damage boost for a larger group if you can give everybody a chance to get some more criticals. But
well, I'm not going to disagree with Thor. I mean,
yeah.
This is obviously important to him, and okay. But I've never seen anybody wearing the heroic black dragon scale, and it has this 10% armor piercing. So I would think if this armor piercing is that critical, I'd be seeing it on more people.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen it either. But my guild doesn't have any high-level rogues in it. If I were playing, I would think of that as kind of rogue armor, right? If I had a high-level rogue, sneak attack can be up to 100 points of damage on a really specialized character, and any chance to do to get that extra 100 point of damage in is going to be something you go for. But I almost never see high-level pure rogues. There are a couple in my guild, maybe, but I don't see them very often. Last one I saw was a repeater character, so I don't remember what he was wearing. But it's also hard to tell with the cosmetic armor. Although I would think if you have Black Dragon Scale, you're going to show that off, and you're not going to cover it up.
Right, because it is now. Yeah, I do think that Black Dragon, especially the leather. I think Black Dragon leather is the best looking armor there is. Although the green leather is pretty cute too. But anyway.
Right. Yeah. For slightly different reasons.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think that's really the best looking armor in the game. Still, even with all the armor kits and everything else, I'd take Black Dragon armor over anything.
Yeah, and I'm surprised that not too many people have it, because that's the one you see people are willing to trade the black scales for something else, right? So somewhere there's a collection of black scales that people will put together. So I don't know. Yeah, I found the discussion on the white one interesting. Some people are advocating changing the shield bonus over to a dodge bonus, like +5 dodge, because the shield bonus is kind of useless for sword and shield characters who often don't really get all that much of a break in the game anyway. Although they become, better. I think there's a lot better options for them now. But, I did see that was kind of strange because to me, that's the thing you would put on the DPS armor, right? Because it frees you up to, hey, you have armor class where you're still hammering away on stuff. But, so that seemed a little bit of an odd choice to me.
I can see why they want it, though. Yeah, I can see why they want it, even for somebody who doesn't carry a shield. I mean, armor class, the scale is only so useful now, right? So 8 more points of armor is probably less helpful than 5% dodge when you're going to not take any damage at all.
Probably so, yeah. Or it's at least comparable, yeah. But, I'd be happy. Having a big shield bonus is nice. Otherwise, you can't get it on a lot of two-handed and two-weapon fighting characters. And I don't have but a couple sword and shield characters. I carry one on almost every character, but I use them less and less as days go by. Partly because the armor class changed. At low level, sometimes picking up a shield made you really hard to hit. That's not really the case anymore. So they've become more and more relegated to the dustbin. Unless you're I think high level tanks, you can make a good sword and shield character, and druids, of course, if you're double striking, it's pretty good. But I'm looking forward to them. If I like the Giant Hold quest enough, maybe I'll actually try to collect some scales. I have a few sitting around, so that's good, I guess. Except, do you need? Yeah, but you need epic scales to make the epic
flawless ones. That's right.
Yeah, I don't have any of those.
Yeah. On the plus side, though, Giant Hold Torah is my favorite quest in the whole game. So I'm just gonna say I'm really excited about seeing it epic, and if it's just as fun as it was, then the fact that I'm going to be in there forever pounding out 3 sets of armor does not bother me at all. I love that quest.
I do like that one. It's neat.
So let's go over the changes one more time for reiteration, because I think it's important. Because right now all the images out there show the old version of the Lamania Update 17 flawless dragon scale armor out there.
All right. For the white, I have it. Do you want me to go over it, or were you planning?
Yeah, sure. No, go ahead.
On the white, it's going to be a +8 instead of +7. The protection is going to go up to +8 instead of +7, and the shield bonus is going to be +8. It will still have, as already planned, heavy fortification, draconic resilience, which is 50 hit points if you're wearing the helmet too, and superior cold and an empty blue slot. The blue is going to be +8 enhancement. instead of, I'm sorry, I was wrong. It comes with Greater Spell Pen 9 already, but in addition, instead of having Greater Arcane Lore, it's going to have Major Arcane Lore. The potency will be 80. It'll have Draconic Mind, which I forgot what that does.
Like extra spell points.
15 universal spell power.
There we go.
Which is actually, so if it's just, I wonder if the +8, does that count too? Do you get item spell power for armor? Probably not, right? Probably only get that for weapons.
Yeah, I don't think you get on armor.
It's weapon only, yeah.
So superior lightning resistance, empty blue slot. All right, for black, enhancement is +8. It already had haste guard and relentless fury. It still will. And the armor piercing has been bumped up from 15 to 20. It has superior acid resistance and an empty blue slot. And its draconic ability, set ability that matches with the helmet again, is ferocity, which is 3% double strike and +2 damage on ranged.
Got it.
So I don't know how. I assume the 3%. Oh, it's an artifact. All the the set stuff is an artifact bonus.
Yeah, so they stack.
I assume that's going to stack. Yeah. So it's
Yeah, that's cool.
If you're an arcane archer,
Let's feel more epic-y.
yeah, if you're an arcane archer, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Yeah. I would think.
Yeah, well, double strike doesn't work on ranged weapons though, so. But they get the +2 damage. That's always nice.
Right.
Mo damage is good. Yeah, I was looking at a build in the forums for a arcane archer Fury of the Wild character that apparently does some pretty insane damage.
Cool.
Oh, does overwhelming fury apply to a ranged attack?
Yes, it does.
Including the knockdown, adrenaline, and everything.
Overwhelming fury. No, you're. That's in the Dreadnought line, isn't it?
That's in Fury of the Wild.
Fury of the Wild. Okay, yeah, no, it's the adrenaline thing they're doing. They're doing adrenaline with many shot. And if they get the high end, I forget what it is, the epic adrenaline thing. Works really well with many shot, and you can do like 1-2K per arrow, and you're hitting with 4 arrows at a time, and
wow,
it's pretty insane, yeah.
Okay, sweet. So there you go. Wrap up on the dragon scale armors.
Cool.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Very DDO gamer. Yeah, I was impressed at how much content you had up this week. It was quite prodigious.
Yeah, don't count on that every week. Next week we're back to four sentences and a haiku.
That's cool. Well, we got some. We got a segment in line for next week. We got a top 10 from Rebus the Rogue. We're gonna play on the next episode, so look forward to that. And,
great! Some
other good stuff. So
one of the things that's been bugging me about this update is why I know why, to save money and time to go back to Dragonhold, but I was actually hoping they would go to the continent of Arganessen. I mean, that's a whole continent of dragon.
Oh, to do another link. Yeah, I'm sure that would be a lot more work. I don't know. I mean, I know a lot of people wanted to do Dragonhold stuff, and they just wanted to make it relevant to the game again, I think, so.
Okay.
But,
didn't they, I mean, maybe I'm misremembering, but I thought that back in the very early day of Epic, when they were first figuring out how Epic, they were first epicizing new packs and slamming them out, before Menace of the Dark, didn't they accidentally put an Epic Giant Hold on Lamania? Way before they ever announced it or were ever talking about doing it, and then took it off again right away?
Yeah, well, they've had it up there, and it's been available in a lot of the Lamania packs, but it wasn't anything except for just sort of scaled-up version of the Giant Hold Tor. And, yeah, a lot of people speculated. They said that it was basically there for testing, that they had done some of their Epic scaling tests using that quest. And that, it was just something as part of the test code. And so whenever it was up on Lamania, you could do that, but it didn't do anything special.
I know it always made people feel like, hey, here's all this content, it's done, just give it to us.
Right, yeah. Yeah, and I don't know if it was all the quests or if it was just Tor. I know that Tor had that, but I'm not sure about the other ones.
Well, and I have not run any of the new quests, so I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I'm hoping they're different. I'm hoping it's not just more of the same with extra hit points. We'll see.
Yeah. No, I mean, I heard that the raid is really, really good, but I have not gone on and checked it out. And I don't know if any of the other quests are entirely different quests or if they're just variations on the existing ones. But we'll find out. I always like to be surprised by the content of the updates. I like to know all the rules in advance and play around with that, but I always want to hit the quests relatively fresh if possible.
Right.
Although I think, we're going to be doing one of those kind of preview tours with the Turbine devs for this update. So I guess whether I like it or not, I'll be seeing it a little early.
Okay. All right. I imagine they are just variations. I can't imagine them being an all-new quest. None of the other epics are like that. But they do, in some, they do add additional variations in some cases.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So...
well, there could be some additional quests, too. I'm not sure. Like I said, I haven't really researched it much, but I'll find out. We'll bring you the full scope of that when we can.
Yep.
Cool. So let's go over what we've been doing in DDO. I'll start. Not a whole lot. I played my monk a little bit, who is only level 8, but he's kind of pure half-orc dark monk. I was inspired by some of my guildies level 25 monks who are do some rather ridiculous damage. Pretty awesome character. So I thought I would work on mine a little bit too. And I got my polar bear by doing some ice games. I got a few motes from Sweetheart there. Thank you, darling. The polar bear is very cute. And I proceeded to completely stop doing any ice game stuff once I had achieved that goal. Let's see. I don't know. That's about it. I've logged on some characters and fiddled around with my inventory, which I do all the time. I've been playing Borderlands a fair bit lately. A new expansion came out, and so we did some of that. And then I hit level 50, and they have these little golden keys they give you that unlock a chest with all kinds of really rare loot in it. And the thing is, I've been saving them until I got to the maximum level because it generates loot appropriate for your level. So I figured I would want the stuff that you'd have kind of at the end game, such as it were. So I saved them all up, and Ann and I went on a sort of loot explosion orgy of shiny guns and things. So that was a lot of fun. And probably be shifting my focus back over to DDO here. I don't have any other games kind of in the wings. Although I guess in a couple weeks we've got a new one of my other favorite games, Elder Scrolls. Can't remember name.
Dragonborn.
Dragonborn. Thank you. Yeah.
DLC.
Yeah. So that's coming out. So I look forward to that. But I guess that'll be competing a little bit with the expansion pack when that comes. I don't know exactly when that's released. I don't think they've announced it yet, but it should be coming in early February. So anyway, that's it for me. How about you, Darlene?
Oh, hey. Well, on Tuesday with my epic Elite group, we ran both the Well quest on Epic Elite, and we also were running and we were doing great into the belly of the beast, and then the server crashed right in the middle of it. And it didn't come up until like a good, I would say about 10 or 15 minutes later, and by then our group had just basically decided to either go to bed or do something else. So it was pretty sad. He made me cry, DDO.
Oh, yeah, I said there wasn't much play interruption, but I forgot that there was at least one significant piece.
Well, it's like we were just about to finish into the belly of the beast, and then completed under crash. And do you know how hard that quest is on Epic Elite?
Yeah, that is not.
Do you know how many deaths we went through?
Anybody have their armor fall off?
Oh no, luckily no. So we all repaired before going in. And for us, it was pretty fun actually, and we got the hang of it. We don't usually run that one on Epic Elite, but and it was pretty fun. We were going to run all of the challenges and try to get 5 stars in order to fill out our favor for Purple Dragon Knight favor, but that's going to be reserved for later on this week. What else? Mostly been working at home because I hate crafting in MMO because I take a look at crafting and I go, well, if I'm going to work that hard, I might as well work really hard in real life and produce something worthwhile. So I've been crafting at home. I've got my own workshop, and I've been woodworking and all that. And of course, I've been playing video games on the side when I've got time. My biggest project is running my my gaming store, and it's www.stanxmart.com. And apparently a bunch of my friends who used to work for TSR have a bunch of stuff, and Wizards of the Coast got stuff from where they used to work, and decided, well, I've got all this stuff and it's just sitting in my garage. Will you sell it for me and on eBay? So I decided to make a website, and my friend Stan is the guy who's most of the stuff is from. So, and I've also got stuff from Jeff Grubb, co-creator of Forgotten Realms, and so this week is going to be a lot of Magic cards. Let's see, lots and lots of these. If anyone could see them, there you go. So that's been my week.
How about you, Jeff?
When we'd get to see the teacup pendant lamp on the eBay.
Oh yeah. No, that was mine.
Yeah, I saw
teacup
it.
Pendant lamp is mine.
I saw that. Well, I also got crashed. I felt really bad for one of the girls in our guild. She's been trying to put together an at-level shroud, which is hard to get together. Mm-hmm. So she's been trying all week, and she got, 7 or 8 people from the guild to commit, and we spent a while filling, and we finally filled, and we got in there, and we got through, and we're at level, and we're not even a very good group of at levels, so we're figuring out part 2, and we're having some issues, but we're finally starting to make some traction on it, and we're ready to kill them the second time, this time all at once, right? And no.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I know. You're booted. So,
wow.
and Turbin did do a good job of getting it back up. I mean, it was probably 15 minutes, and it was back, but I don't know. The moment had passed. It was too late to start again. So, mainly what I've been doing is helping my gamer girl. She's got an 18th level cleric that she wants to get up to 20 so that she can run epics with something other than just her rogue. So, excellent. I've got an 18th level fighter, former barbarian, that I'd like to get up there also. So we've been, running through a bunch of stuff on our hard streak. Level 16 stuff, check. We finished all that. Level 17 stuff, check. Finished all that. Level 18 stuff, got most of that. I think next up is, we're finishing off House Kneath stuff, and then we're going to go to the Inspired Quarter, and hopefully by then, that'll be it. Hopefully. So, ran the Druid series over on Evening Star again and heroic levels. You know the routine. Mm-hmm. Run the stuff fast, get through it, have a good time. I'm starting to collect so much named loot, though, it's becoming a problem.
Having a hard time parting with it?
Yeah, I have a hard time throwing away named loot. Oh, no, don't throw it away. They might turn it into something really good next update.
Yeah, I've been there. What's this loincloth doing in my inventory?
No way. That's not going to...
So I bought 6 bank slots in a couple of places, and I have 60 shared bank, and I normally use that. Well, I used to use that productively. Now it's all filled up with named loot that I can't part with. I just can't bring myself to let it go.
Just got to make a character to use it, that's all.
Some of these things...
That's what we do.
Yeah.
We end up making characters to use the crap that we get. And then it ends up feeling guilty, and I stop playing it.
Well, I do design my character so that I have a guy who specializes in two-handed swords, and one that's axes, and a Kopesh guy, and a rapier guy, and just partly so that I have a home for different items that I find.
Yep, I do the same thing. But right now I have got so many sets of named plate mail that I'm never going to wear. But,
yeah, that's true.
I mean, there are so many. But that's all right. They're cool. I can't get... Nah, never mind. I see, like it's... What does it say right here? It says, "Somebody help me, I need help." Seriously, help me.
You can start our role playing night and then wear them each week. No, he looks at me staring at me. What? Role playing?
Role playing in Dungeons and Dragons Online. I don't know.
Oh, do I have to type ye?
Don't make me
really
play
fast?
Gabrizar, please.
I don't know. Could I role play a middle-aged dude from the future?
That was my character bio on one of my characters for a while last season. Yeah, he supposedly had made his way from the real world in there.
Too funny. All right. Anything else in DDO land?
Yeah, we got some community news. Folks have been busy out there. I got to pronounce something again. Laudrily has a new picture up of some characters from her guild that's very pretty. She does a lot of very nice character portraits and things like that. So making a name for herself on the forums, definitely with those. I usually find those through the guild tractor because Cordovan really loves to go find the artwork and praise the folks who do it. So it makes it easy for me to find it. But that one is really nice. And let's see. Also, the DDO Chronicle highlighted a guy or gal. I'm not sure. Fidera is doing an art series as a tribute to second edition Dungeons and Dragons classes. Has a posting up on DeviantArt where you can see the full pictures, but is also posting little kind of mini snapshots of them on my DDO. Kind of cool. Maybe not my style of stuff. It's kind of computer generated. And so far, I would describe the series as haughty D&D characters done with computer graphics. So. The breasts of your local ranger and the breasts of your local rogue are available.
Wait.
Covered, but you know.
You say that like it's a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing. I don't know. I just that one didn't appeal to me as much. Now, you know, I mean, the picture, the other picture that was done of Artificer and his girlfriend, I guess. I thought that was very, you know, it's kind of sexy and whatnot, but it was, I don't know, a little more my style. Anyway. But kudos to anybody because they're both way better than I could ever be at bringing my fantasy universe to life using artistic skills, which is always something I wished I could do, but totally can't. I've tried. I'm pretty bad. It's just something about my brain doesn't work very well for that. Yeah, I can design stuff. I just can't actually illustrate. Also, an update to DDOdestiny.info. This is the website where you can plan out your epic destinies. It looks exactly like it does in the game, works exactly like it does in the game, follows all the same rules, etc., etc. Except, of course, you can grant yourself as many epic destiny experience points as you like. You don't have to do anything for them, so that's kind of fun. But he's updated it such that you can put your character together and then save it and post a URL for other people to go look at it. So people can check out your Epic Destiny configurations. Very useful for posting in the forums or sharing with your guildies, that kind of thing. So I think that's really cool. I like anything that lets you kind of share your knowledge of the game with other people, so I think that's really cool.
It's a cool tool. It was a cool tool before you did that. It's helpful.
Yeah. If it could just marry it to the character planner somehow, then that would be awesome. I'd be super happy. I might do some builds again. I'm too lazy to do it without tools.
Make your own tool.
Oh, gee, that's even more work. I mean, I'm often tempted. I think, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to program something. But no, other people are doing the fine work with that and doing it perhaps better than I could. So I think I will let them continue.
The one I always get, my gamer girl is after me to build an item planner, and I so need one.
Oh wow, yeah.
Because it's I find a ring, and can I put this on? Well, I don't know. It would mean I have to change this to that, and that means I got to change this to that, and this to that. Oh my God, what happens? And a tool that would be so great, but I program all day. I don't want to do anymore.
Yeah, that's the trick. I mean, I get the temptation, right? But it just rarely goes much beyond that. Yeah. It's like, no. Like, I don't even have a good framework anymore. It's a lot of crud that I have to write. So, yeah. Well, although I will say the character planner is kind of nice because all their data files are pretty accessible and easy to read. So, it would be pretty easy. You'd have that side of things already done for you, so long as you, of course, got permission and gave the guy due credit. I'm sure he would be willing to share. I mean, they're freely available with the program, but handy that. Let's see what else. Chronicle comment. We've got what would? Which could you throw farther? An inebriated halfling or an angry kobold? If only we had Samus to help us with this question.
Oh.
Could do some empirical testing.
Kobold. Kobolds are lighter.
The angry factor isn't.
No. I mean, kobolds are lighter. It depends on what their class is, I guess.
Yeah, kobold wizard cast Featherfall, you're in trouble. You're like, oh, jeez.
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
kobold shaman, yeah, it's gonna be a little bit harder. So.
What
do you think, Jeff?
I'm thinking that a halfling's going to be a drunk halfling, a passed-out drunk halfling. If you can get some spin on him, right? So his arms and legs are, like equidistant. Now that's way more aerodynamic. You could maybe even get some sail going with that, maybe some lift. So I'm going with a really passed-out halfling. Now, if he's just drunk and angry, that's worse than the kobold. But I mean,
Yeah.
There, that's the one.
If he's bar fight drunk or whether he's passed out drunk, yeah.
Right. Yeah, I love you, man. No, you can't even throw him. He clings to you.
Yeah. Don't throw me, bro. Yeah. What do I think? I felt it really depended on the strength of the thrower. So I think the weaker you are, the more you have to go with the kobold, because you can just get him sailing. But the stronger you are, the more you're going to have a problem with releasing the kobold. That's the real challenge there, right? Because he's angry, he's clawing at you, he's all over you. Getting him out of your hands and into the air is the real challenge. So with the inebriated halfling, that's not so much a problem. I think he's probably just sort of fumbling around. By the time you pick him up and hurl him, he's going to be confused and not much resistance there. But he's a lot heavier, filled with drink, as it were. And if you've ever dealt with somebody who has no, it's all kind of passed out and woggly, it's a hard thing to handle. So, if you're a big storm giant or something, I think the inebriated halfling is going to go on a long journey, and the kobold is going to have a little bit of a difficult time. But the weaker are you, the better off you're going with the kobold. You just got to figure out a good release strategy. I think maybe by the tail is your best bet. A hard time.
Yeah, well, that's an advantage. You pick it up by the tail, and you can whip it around your head and then fling it off.
Yep. Yeah.
Think of the tail factor. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just saying.
It helps. And I hear they grow back because, they're reptilian. So. All right. What else we got?
It's another DDO Summer Highland Kobold Throwing Event.
Ah, yes. My ancestors have been throwing kobolds for a long time now. What else we got going? I guess in sort of sad news, Hasbro is reducing its worldwide workforce. Hasbro, by the way, owns Wizards of the Coast, who makes Dungeons & Dragons Online, who licenses it to Turbine, who's owned by Warner Brothers. Anyway, this mostly has nothing to do with D&D. It's just sort of corporate downsizing, probably to enhance shareholder value. But I guess it's worldwide layoff, so it's not directed at any one division, and it's going to be all over the place. No idea what effect it'll have on Wizards of the Coast. Probably at least a little bit. On a little happier news in the kind of Dungeons & Dragons universe, the Gygax magazine put out its first issue. I'm not sure that you can buy it just yet, but they've debuted it, showed it around. You can find reviews of it. Mostly it's getting favorable attention. Just kind of nice to have a real print gaming magazine around again. It's $8.50. I guess it's going to come out quarterly. And they will have a PDF version, but that is not available yet for review or otherwise. So that's kind of cool. Something worth checking it out. Google it and see what you think. I read one review who was a little critical, saying it sort of had a lot of, hi, we've been gaming for longer than you've been born. Isn't that great? But it does cover a variety of games, and a lot of the articles, I guess, were pretty interesting. There was one that I'm going to have to check out. Apparently, it was a detailed mathematical breakdown of whether it was better to have +1 damage or +1 attack in Advanced Dungeons & Dragons. So that's my kind of article.
Nifty.
Yeah, they came down on the +1 damage is more powerful side. I'm not always convinced that's true. But then again, AD&D is not my area of expertise, the original game. I don't know as well as 3.5 and some of the newer versions. I wasn't much of a munchkin when I was younger and played D&D. I was just pure storytelling.
Second edition forever!
I remember having good times with that game, but I'll be damned if I can remember very much about the rules.
I like the basic and basic, which is called the B&X, basic and expert edition, because you die really fast and you make backup characters, and making backup characters are fun.
It was a nicely, those rules were really well written. That's the game that I originally learned with, and we used the Advanced Dungeons & Dragons monsters to play with that. Since the game systems were kind of the same, but the rules for making characters were significantly different, and they were a lot more streamlined and kind of basic. Right. And easy to understand. I go back and look at my AD&D books, and I cannot make heads or tails out of some of that stuff. No. It's just very confusing.
I had to make Paco charts in AD&D.
Yeah. Second edition was cool, though.
It's like, I can't do math.
Oh, man, we lived and breathed that stuff. It was the best. Now, it didn't make the most game sense. I mean, a 4th level spell that makes you immune to melee damage. Oh, yeah, no balance problems there, right?
Yeah, like the old Stone Skin.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, the original Stone Skin. I remember springing that on a game master who ran a kind of Monty Hallish game, and it was one of those ones like you didn't even tell him what spells you had; you just cast it. And if it was from the book, of course, he had to let you play it. And he's like, "What? I don't do any damage." I'm like, "That's right. I have this new spell that came out. Check it out." It's like, you suck. Dice were hurled, friendships were broken. Until the next pizza, it was good times. Well, I think that's about it. Anybody got parting thoughts for the show? Yeah.
Atari is going bankrupt.
Oh yeah, that's right. We can dance on their grave.
Yeah. Well, as you know, Atari for the longest time held the license to any D&D video game, and it was only in 2011 did Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast actually won that license back in order to produce their version of the video game. And basically, they were cited on negligence on trying to promote the D&D licensed video games that they kind of hired people to produce for them. So, and lo and behold, it's not the original. In a sense, they kind of did it to themselves. But be happy to know that it isn't the original Atari.
Yeah. So
it was basically the Atari that's alive today is Atari SA, which was Infogames before, which bought the brand name and a number of the titles that Atari put out. The original Atari that we all love and hope that one day they'll republish all the video games that they made under the D&D license, pretty much caved in 1984. So.
Yeah, I don't know that Atari really ever made very many Dungeons and Dragons games. I think there were a couple on the old system.
A couple of them. There were a couple of them on the old system, but not many.
Yeah, the old one I had was on Intellivision, which was one of their competitors. So I think somebody else had the license back then. I think Infogrames had it, and then they bought Atari, and so then Atari had it essentially.
You guys never played like Dungeon on the 2600? In the Atari 2600?
No, but that wasn't Dungeons and Dragons licensed, right? I mean, that was just a D&D style game.
I don't know. The dragon looked like a duck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
there was an official D&D one on Intellivision, and the dragon in that one looked like a duck too. So.
Well, they only had like 20 pixels to work with, So.
Yeah.
So you end up with this dragon right here. Right.
If I close my eyes, I can remember the sound effects from those games. It was like that.
Well, it's interesting. They say as one door shuts, another opens, right?
Yeah.
Did you guys see the things about Planescape Torment maybe coming back?
Spiritual successor? The spiritual successor, yeah.
Yeah,
which means I don't think they have a license, but
yeah, exactly.
No. Well, the deal is with that is that the original creator of Planescape Torment decided to use Monty Cook's new RPG game Numera as the world as the world in his video game. So.
Right. So, cool.
That could be really neat.
Yeah.
I'm all for anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, a role-playing game that just is oozing with creativity and originality would be awesome, as opposed to kind of... I mean, lately there have been games that are not oozing with creativity, but have just been really solid games, like Skyrim, which I couldn't remember the name of before. Great game, but really nothing all that weird about it. It's just pretty much classic fantasy with a little bit of a Nordic twist to it. But it'd be great to see something that's just, I don't know, oozing with new ideas.
Yeah, something new. Absolutely right.
Mm-hmm.
You could do a Game of Thrones game that would be fairly new and different, because it would be kind of a war game and RPG at the same time, I think.
Yeah, political.
Yeah.
Not in the original category, but I did see a preview trailer for an MMO that looked really interesting. It was called like Black Desert or something like that. That looked really neat. If you Google that, the trailer is really gorgeous. I mean, I have seen some people lately complain a little bit about DDO's graphics, which I think are very nice. But when you look at some of the games that are going to come out in the next couple of years, the graphics on the MMOs are pretty astounding. Like, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, the engine's 10 years old, right? I mean, it was the Asheron's Call 2 engine originally, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, still hanging in there.
Oh yeah. Oh wait, one more. Let's talk about MMO Grinder's review of DDO.
Oh right. Okay. Yeah, there was that. So that's a video reviewer, MMO Grinders, And I think he's relatively independent in his things, but he's done 60 some of this is like number 63, right, or something along those lines. And it's a pretty long video review of Dungeons & Dragons Online from a free-to-play perspective. So he mostly reviews free-to-play games, so far as I understand it.
And nothing beyond level 8.
Right, well, yeah, I mean, he tries out the game and plays for a little bit and then, gives his opinion of it. So, I mean, yeah. Capping out a character is kind of beyond the expectation of most reviewers, I think.
Right.
Dabbling. Right. Apparently he was coaxed by his real-life game master into it for some reason. The video insinuates that that's the case. And he has his game master kind of hang out with him and do Dungeons & Dragons commentary because he doesn't really know all the details that well. And so you get kind of a more expert opinion on some of the systems in the game. So, yeah, I get, his overall take on the game, I wouldn't say it was negative, but it wasn't exactly positive either. He starts by saying he was really dreading having to do it. He didn't really want to review the game particularly. It was kind of old, but he was kind of cajoled into it. And he found the combat system very overly confusing and too many details, too many options. Poor guy.
I know.
Hard to understand. Yeah.
I wonder what games he plays. Maybe Farmville? No, wait, that was that.
But, I mean, there are a lot of MMO players. That is probably, there are more people that would find DDO arcane than would find that pleasurable. So, I mean, that's understandable to an extent.
Yeah.
And he definitely said, if you like your games complicated and involving, then that's great. But if you're like most MMO players, you'll probably find it a little too much and, hard to get into. And that's, I think, probably honest for the most part. And he said the graphics are kind of dated, and indeed they are, but I don't know, he wasn't in areas that would best show them off. So he's kind of just cruising around the harbor from, zoomed out from his character, and I don't think you can really get a good appreciation for the game graphics that way. But in many ways, the DDO stuff looks better close up. Some games look much better when you're zoomed out, but DDO is a game that generally, I think, when you're zoomed in, it looks better than it does when you've got a far afield view of it. Except in some of the adventure areas, it's fairly pretty. I don't know. Do you remember anything else from his review specifically? It was pretty long. I mean, it went into quite a bit of detail. He had good things to say about the community of players, that they were very helpful and that you would find people willing to teach you the game pretty easily in the game. He also said that it really wasn't for solo players. That it was really largely a game for group play. I don't know that that's actually all that accurate. Maybe if you're a new player, it is a little hard to solo, but not with the easy difficulties these days. So
I'm surprised he didn't select casual. He selected normal about half the time to play the quests. Casual is solo, in my opinion.
I guess so, yeah. In my opinion, casual is I could fall asleep and not lose the quest, right? Yeah. It can be so easy sometimes. It's just silly. But
that's when your hireling wins the quest, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure on you could just walk around. Actually, I think you could probably have your summoned creatures win the quest on solo. I'm not sure.
It's really kind of sad, though, because, I mean, you guys have played since launch, right?
Yeah.
Close to, and I'm not from launch.
Beta, actually.
Yeah, I'm from... Oh, okay. I'm not. I'm from 3 months after launch, right? But, I mean, I was there at the original version of the game, pretty much, and it is... I'm going to use the words in a negative, and I don't mean to, but it's been dumbed down so much since then. And the Turbine put so much effort into trying to make it easier and more accessible, easier to pick up, more soloable. It's really kind of sad, though, that after all the it's still a barrier to entry, even with all the changes they made to try to get there. Maybe Turbine should have gone the other way, cranked the difficulty up, and
Yeah.
Or they should have made it like EVE Online and made it a spreadsheet game.
I don't know. I like that there's a variety of difficulty levels. I mean, I still find I can't go in and solo Epic Elite quests. I know some people can, but
yeah, I can't.
I play the game pretty well, and I'm not bad at making characters certainly, but soloing Epic Elite is really difficult for me. I might be able to pull it off, but it's a real stretch. And even Ann and I duoing, there's some we can do and some we can't. So I feel like there's some challenge there. Although, if you play the game hard, and certainly lots of people play it harder than I, then I know that can be trivialized as well. But yeah, and then solo mode is so easy that it's kind of astounding. But you can't play solo through all of the game. I know there's a lot of quests that don't have it. Or I mean, not solo, but
you can solo the Crucible. We said the other week that Crucible couldn't be soloed. That's probably why they took it out of the list. And
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I was well chided by our friend Samuus on that. Yes, that can be soloed.
Yes,
He's personally done it.
Solo in many people's book means hireling and a D-door.
Well, yeah, no, I mean with the hirelings you can solo any quest in the game, I believe. There's an exception to that, but I'm pretty sure you can do them all now. Well, maybe not some of the raids. That's a little different, but even that, I wouldn't be surprised.
Right, and there's no hirelings in raids, so.
Yeah, like you can't. I'm pretty sure you can't not solo the abbot. I don't think there's any way to do that. So
no, there's no way.
No, somebody did. Somebody
really?
soloed the abbot. Honestly,
seriously?
Posted it. Yep.
Wow. Okay. Never mind.
All right, I gotta find about anything. Of that.
He had tactics for the encasement that he chose not to talk about because he didn't invent them.
Oh, okay.
So they were, probably tactics for the encasement. Right.
Right. Yeah.
Still, nonetheless, that's quite a feat. Yes, the abbot has been soloed.
Yeah, I mean, even if you're finding cheesy ways to do things, I still kind of give people credit for finding the cheesy ways, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's still an achievement in its own right. Maybe doing it over and over again at that point is not much of an achievement, but the first time, I still, you got to give credit where credit's due for figuring those things out. But
yep, I agree.
Wow. Okay, that's impressive.
Okay. From someone from the chat channel is saying Shaitan from Orion was the one that soloed the abbot, I believe.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, kudos to him. I'm impressed. That's one of the few quests I've never actually even finished or gone through. So mostly because my guild doesn't like to do it, but so it goes.
Yeah, we're casual.
Yeah, and it's
epic.
It's one that usually when you see a pug listing, they're like, "Know the quest." I'm like, "Yeah, I don't really know that quest, so maybe not." You can stick me in the ice room. I think I can manage to jump on the ice platform, so that's about as good as it gets.
Oh, that one I can't do. I can never do that right.
Oh, really?
I can do the asteroids. Sometimes I can do the goggles. I can never jump right on the. I always end up in the water.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I aced that on my first try. We were in there. We just practiced. We found somebody who knew how to do the raid, and we were practicing in the guild. Although I don't think we had enough wipes that the practice turned into nah.
Nah, let's not.
The goggles just was really a challenge for our group. That was really hard to get people to do it. So, yeah, but no, the ice, I had no problem with that. I did good with that one.
Yeah. But back to the MMO grinder review.
Oh, yes.
I think I appreciate his perspective of DDO because it shows some sort of inherent problems with the game, especially when on first blush, it's like the first date, and first impressions are everything. Yeah. And even though Turbine has done well enough to try to make it more friendly for a very low hurdle to get into, but there's some lingering problems. One of my problems that I really don't like about DDO is how to adjust your UI and like the key bindings and all those little adjustments. There's so many options all in this one tiny box.
Yeah. And
it's hard to go through and figure out which each of them does at any given moment in time. So.
Yeah. Well, I guess, I was just having a sobering thought there, and I'm thinking to myself, given its age, I don't think DDO has a future of massive popularity at any given time, right? I mean, it's never going to suddenly catch on and be a game way bigger than it is. I think at this point it's a game about finding, new players kind of slowly over time, people who haven't discovered it before they could get into it, and keeping its existing player base fairly happy with the content and kind of fun stuff to do. And just kind of maintaining itself as long as it can until eventually it becomes outdated enough that just kind of moves on. I guess it takes a long time. I mean, I don't see myself doing it anytime soon. But then again, it's hard to see DDO as suddenly catching on fire and tons of people playing it because it's an older title at this point. So I don't know. I guess I'm.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, Turbine just brought back Acheron's Call too.
I know, that's amazing. That stuns me. I'm like, really?
I mean, they've got some kind of business model that says they can support older games that have dedicated player base. You know?
Well, I mean, I think DDO can still have really long legs. I mean, I anticipate it'll still be around for a number of years yet. There aren't many alternatives, right, that are a similar type of a game. Maybe when there's another Dungeons and Dragons game that has the same level of detail, which I have not seen any hide nor hair of anywhere, then yeah, I suppose it could die at that point. But until then, it's the only game in town for what it is, and still really enjoy it. It's just hard to see, that I was surprised that someone would take the time to do such an in-depth review so long into the game's lifespan. But I was glad he did. I think any attention is good. Some people find out about it that had forgotten about it or didn't know it was around. But I'm not sure a lot of people are probably going to jump in and try the game based on his review, though. It wasn't positive enough to really, which is too bad. Unless they were just looking for a Dungeons and Dragons game and didn't know about it. But that seems hard to believe there are many left at this point that don't know it exists.
Yeah, everybody's waiting for Neverwinter Nights.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah. And I don't have all very high hopes about that one. We'll see. But
I played with it for about 5 minutes at Gen Con last year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it only had 4 action buttons.
Right. Yeah. It felt like an Xbox game, right?
Well, I mean, maybe they have achieved that simplicity and ease of access thing, right? But maybe they've done so at the cost of, fun. I don't know.
Yeah, it could still be a fun game. I just don't know that it's going to satisfy my I'm making unique characters itch, which is what I really like.
Yeah.
Well, Pathfinder Online promises that. It's a sandbox game, so I imagine
there is Pathfinder Online, yeah.
Yeah, it'll probably have crunchy bits you can add on to it, especially for your character.
And I don't know if we reported on that, but it did reach its $1 million Kickstarter. Barely.
Yes.
Like, it just squeaked over the finish line in the last few hours. But they did raise their $1 million, so...
Good for them.
Yeah, so then if they manage to keep on their schedule, that means it'll come out sometime next year, or start betaing next year. And that could be really interesting. They're going for a sandbox feel. I'm sure you'll be able to customize characters in many, many ways in that game. So, yeah, that does have real potential. Although, it's an independently developed game, so what kind of graphics and that sort of thing, we have no idea at this point.
Right.
No. And then there's, of course, Elder Scrolls Online, which I signed up for the beta for.
Yeah. Although I also doubt that's going to have really detailed character customization, like building characters.
No, if it's anything like Skyrim, it's not really.
Yeah, I mean, Skyrim has a little bit of that, but
in Elder Scrolls, I mean, you could customize your character any way you wanted, but it wasn't how you built them; it was how you used them, right? So if you're an archer, you got to shoot things a lot, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, also in the original game, there was a little bit more freeform creativity. It was a pretty much anything goes kind of a game. And then progressively, each game they came out with, they give you less and less character options. Although I will say, what they've done is they've boiled it down to the ones that work pretty well and sort of taken away the options to make really bad characters for the most part. So I find the current system a lot of fun. I really liked it. But yeah, I would agree. It's a little bit more about an immersive experience and a little less about kind of strategy and tactics, which is fine, just a different kind of game. And the thing is that I have a hard time with immersive experience MMOs because you have the problem of a relatively static world that everybody has to be able to experience the same adventures, yet they have to all experience them together over and over again, and it really steals a lot of the immersion for me.
It wouldn't be hard because I like, I design games, at least in my head. I don't have hardly any published, but it would be a tough challenge to come up with an MMO in a world. I mean, how do you do that? How do you have a quest? How do you have a quest giver that? I mean, all they can do is really stand there and give the quest out because if they get involved with the party, then they're not there for the next group of people.
Right.
So I don't know how you would get. How would you do that?
Yeah,
I don't. When somebody solves that, let me know. That's the game I want to play.
Yeah, it's really tough. I mean, I think you can do it. The problem is there are sacrifices that have to be made. You have to be willing to play a game where you might be waiting around for stuff, like, where I guess, watching the world change is part of the pleasure of the thing, which means it's going to be a little less accessible and hard to solo and play for an hour and that sort of thing. So, right. I mean, Ultima Online, the first game that came out, the first graphic one, had that element to it. I mean, stuff changed all the time in there, which was both frustrating and annoying and difficult, but kind of cool in its own way. So yeah, in many ways, any MMO I play, that's the one that comes closest to that kind of ideal. But
didn't RuneQuest have some of that too, or
it may. I've never played it. I mean, it's been around forever, but I've never tried it.
I hear these stories about camping out, waiting for something to reappear, and
yeah. Well, there is the classic camping thing, where this thing spawns every 3 hours, and you have to be there when it shows up,
right.
And then everybody ninja loots like the thing that drops. I mean, that's EverQuest style, right? That's really annoying. That's sort of like
annoying.
It's not dynamic, and yet it's irritating at the same time.
I meant EverQuest. I didn't.
Oh, you meant EverQuest. Oh, okay.
Yeah, RuneQuest is something else entirely. Is there a RuneQuest online? I'd love to play that, especially if it's on Glorantha.
I think there is. Well, it's not RuneQuest. Maybe I'm thinking of something else. But there's something with a name very much like that. It's an online web browser MMO that's been around forever and ever and ever. Yeah, somebody will remember what it is. But anyway, yeah, it's been.
Let us know.
Yeah, no, I mean that game has been out for ages and has a huge following because it's been a free-to-play game for a long time. But I forget what it's called. Kind of simple graphics, but
something with rune in it. I do know what you're talking about, but it's not RuneQuest. That's something else entirely.
Yeah, not the kind of RuneQuest you're thinking about it anyway. Right. Yeah, it's just that old school role-playing game. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Well, I think that's a long
one more
segment. Oh, you got one more. Wow. Okay.
Baldur's Gate special, the awesome
Enhanced edition.
Enhanced edition is now all out on Steam. And I just downloaded it.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I have not played it or tried it out, but we will be.
Yes,
we will.
We will be. It'll be fun.
Yeah, and we'll let you know how it is. The only thing is, when I looked at it, it didn't look like it had been all that much enhanced, but I guess we'll see.
I don't know. I have such wonderful memories of that game. I hate to spoil them.
Right? Yeah.
Some things you just got to let go out on top.
I do know that feeling. Sometimes that is hard.
Okay. People from the chat channel says, "Did you mean RuneScape?"
RuneScape,
or runes,
yeah.
Runes of Magic?
Yeah.
RuneScape, I think, is the one I was thinking of.
RuneScape. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. That's been a long time. I mean, I remember that 10 years ago at least. I'm not sure.
That's an NCSoft game, right, or whatever? The same company that's got a big Seattle presence.
But yeah, I'm just not sure. I just know that it's been around forever. And, at times it's been one of the biggest MMOs out there as far as number of players, just because it's very accessible. You can play it on a browser, as I understand it. So
yeah. Well, yeah.
And it has a heritage, I think, as a text-based game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, another thing.
You are
DDO,
a font of things tonight.
DDO is out on beta, a beta for the Mac. So download it if you got a Mac.
Yeah, we mentioned that in the last show. Yeah, you can play in the real live world with the beta. So
now, before you could only play on Lamania. Now you can play on actual live servers. So even though the client is beta, you have access to your characters on the Lannis or whatever if you are on a Mac and you've played DDO before.
Yeah, I hope that works out. That is a way they could get some new players that may have always wanted to play the game but didn't want to go through the trouble to do emulations in order to do it. So that could be cool. I mean, there's a lot of Mac users out there these days, and there's not a lot of MMOs available for them. So that could be a pretty good market. Be cool. I mean, I definitely would love to see more players, and I know new ones come to the game because they write in about the show and they thank us for sharing information and stuff. So there's always some new players, which is cool.
We love your new players.
Yeah, we do. Thank you for making us feel secure in our gaming choices and coming to enjoy. We will give you free loot soon.
Yeah, please bring all your friends. We'll bribe you, really.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I think we're going to call it there. Big thanks to Ann and thanks to Jeff for joining me today. Awesome. And big thanks to all the contributors. Rebus the Rogue, much appreciated sending in the segment. We could definitely use some more segments. We haven't been getting as many as we did once upon a time. Old segment hosts move along, and it's time for new ones. So if you have a gleam in your eye about making one, just go ahead and record it and send it on in. And so long as it doesn't sound like a snowstorm or something, probably happily play it. And big thanks to everybody in the chat room once again coming in and giving us information that we cannot remember. Very much appreciated. It's like the panel of researchers or experts. It's wonderful when I forget something. I know they're gonna come through for me. And thanks to all our listeners for giving us a reason to do the show. And big thanks to Turbine and Wizards for making it a great game. If you'd like to be on the show sometime, you can leave us a voicemail at the Yark line 1-855-DDO-YARK. You can email us at DDOcast@gmail.com. Give us something to say or make a request to join the show. And until next time, may all your attack rolls be crits and your chest level appropriate. Have fun, and don't forget to gather to take your end reward, because we don't gather for buffs anymore. That's old school.